Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mish Shedlock, editor of Mish's Global Economic Trend Analysis on maven.net/MishTalk. Welcome back to the show, Mish.
Pleasure to be on, Jim.
Donald Trump has imposed a deadline of Friday for Canada and the U.S. to work out their NAFTA negotiations. Is that a reasonable deadline?
I don't know. I don't know. It's really going to be up to Canada and what Trump wants out, Trump really wants out of the bargain. He worked out a deal with Mexico, but arguably it was no better than the deal we had. And now Mexico came back and said, you know what, if Canada doesn't get in the deal, well, we need some tweaks. And, of course, this is not all up to Trump in the first place. Mexico has to agree. They've got a president change coming up in December. Canada has to agree, and guess what? U.S. Congress has to agree, and we've got midterm elections coming up. So Trump is very anxious to get something done here. I suspect he will, but I suspect it will be no great bargain and no better than what we had before. So we'll see. The stock market soared the other day on news that a deal was worked out with Mexico. I looked at it and I said, what deal? Maybe we have one, maybe we don't. But it's not going to be a great deal. Interestingly, the ECB came out today and actually proposed to Trump, we'll take off all of our tariffs on cars and trucks if you do the same thing. Guess what? Trump said no. So the idea that he's really interested in free trade, he's got the chance to do it here on autos, ain't going to do it.
Is this one of the major stumbling blocks to free trade around the planet, the automobile trade?
Probably, I don't know, it's up there, but I would say number one would be agriculture. The EU is very protectionist of agriculture, and of course the U.S. is in different ways. We've got our sugar lobby. The EU is just generally protectionist across the board to save the French farm, and of course the EU cannot do anything about that because France has a veto. Everyone in the EU has to agree to make major changes. My guess is they would on cars, but they wouldn't on agriculture because France would say no. So that's what it's all about. But anyway, Trump has a chance to prove he's not a hypocrite, and I don't think he's going to do it.
Ford Motors today got bad news from the Moodys ratings agency. What was it?
Well, they got downgraded to one step above junk. This is actually quite important. They've got $80 billion or so in debt, according to Bloomberg. I came up with slightly different numbers. It doesn't matter. It's somewhere in that ballpark. And it's a big deal because if they're downgraded, there are a lot of U.S. bond funds, a lot of international bond funds even that hold Ford, but they can only hold investment-grade stocks. Right now, Moody's downgraded it with a negative warning for further downgrades. The next downgrade would put it into junk bond status, and a whole bunch of bond funds would have to dump to bonds. Interestingly, Ford bonds were trading above par back in January. 105 cents on the dollar. They're down to 90 cents on the 107, I think. Down to 90 cents on the dollar today, and they would be downgraded. They would take an even bigger hit if they're downgraded to junk. Meanwhile, the stock price is almost flatlining. It's been around $10 for years. Seems to fluctuate between 10 and 12. GM removed a lot of its debt when it filed for bankruptcy in 2009. It wasn't finalized in 2011. GM started trading again under the same symbols, but they rehashed the old symbol and renamed it, so you can no longer see a historical comparison. I tried to find it today, but essentially GM shares, went to zero until it started trading again under a new symbol. Well, GM's debt has gone from about nothing all the way back up to $60 billion or so, based off of charts that I produced at the end of 2017, the 2017 annual report. So, GM shed all that debt and managed to put it back, a lot of it. And Ford never shed that debt, and it's lingering under debt downgrades. If it needs to increase that debt for any reason, it's going to have to do so at now junk prices. So we'll see. I suspect at some point that Ford is going to have to be downgraded to junk, and GM looks like it's headed there for a second time.
What did they do to get into such debt?
I didn't bother to look that. I don't know, Jim. The increasing plants. I suspect it's plants. It's a shift to electric. It's a plan to go to driverless, and all of what all that entailed. I don't think they said specifically, or if they did, I don't follow the stocks close enough. But I'm pretty certain that's it. New plants, new machinery, a shift to electric, and a lot of money spent on trying to go driverless. I think that's where it went.
Are we going to see driverless technology on the road anytime soon?
What's anytime soon? I think yes. Ford says it's going to have a wheelless car, steering wheelless car, by I think it was 2019. So that's coming right up. Let's say it's delayed a year. Call it 2020. I think they will have that. There certainly won't be mass penetration of these kinds of vehicles anytime soon. That's going to drag out further, but for trucks, absolutely. As soon as the federal agency gives approval for driverless trucks on the highways, I think we are going to see that happen en masse very quickly within a couple of years of that announcement coming out. And so my timeline on that is 2022, and it could be even sooner. So that is on the near-term horizon. We're not going to see mass introduction of driverless cars by the same date, but we might see it in fashion especially at airports, where we can have driverless vehicles in major cities, take people to their hotels. They would have an attendant there to set the destination for the customer. And so I think that kind of thing is going to happen much, much faster than mass adoption, but that will be significant in and of itself. Although those taxi driver jobs and truck driver jobs will go.
We'll have more with Mike Shedlock right after the break.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario, with grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program to test numerous targets located by recent groundwork is planned for early 2018. Please visit our website at rmroyalty.com.
MGX Minerals is revolutionizing the new energy economy with patented lithium extraction technology, replacing traditional solar evaporation using low-cost, low-energy nanofiltration. The first system of this paradigm shift technology is currently being commissioned. MGX Minerals trades on the CSE, symbol XMG, the OTCQB, symbol MGXMF, and Frankfurt, symbol 1MG. For more information, visit our website, mgxminerals.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mike Shedlock. Mish, Tesla now not going public. Was that just a drive to drive up shares?
Absolutely. I mean, who knows? We've got a sleep-deprived Elon Musk tweeting about all kinds of stuff. It's hard to know exactly what was going on in his mind, but certainly he's been battling the shorts. I'll tell you the best way to battle shorts is actually to come out with a product that works and to beat your expectations rather than delaying them constantly. So, and then there's another aspect of the shorts. The stock is very heavily shorted, 35% or something, but it's not like a large portion of that, but I can't quantify it. Has to do with the way Musk raises money. And a lot of the debt was from convertible shares. And when people buy convertible bonds, especially, institutions, when they buy convertible bonds, they actually short the stock as a hedge on that. So some of those shorts, perhaps a significant portion of them, perhaps even a major portion of them, are these bondholders who shorted this stock as a hedge.
The U.S. government's GDP estimate, is it accurate?
I don't know. The U.S. government's, you mean do you mean the Atlanta Fed or the New York Fed?
Yes.
They're wildly different, Jim.
Okay.
One of them is clearly inaccurate, at least one. The percentage point difference between the two of them, when I last reported, was 2.6 percentage points. The Atlanta Fed alone had a change in private inventories contributing 2%, 2 percentage points of its 4.6 to the estimate. The entire estimate for the New York Fed nowcast was 2%. So one of these models, at least one of them, is way out of base. Now, amusingly, the percentage error on these things is supposed to be 1 percentage point. Now, that's on their final forecast, not intermediate forecast, and we're 2 months away from that still. But the current trend and the current estimates look ridiculous. Whether or not they merge over the rest of the quarter remains to be seen. I actually doubt it, just based off of how the New York Fed model has been behaving. It's almost it comes out with a early prediction and hardly ever moves from that. The Atlanta Fed, on the other hand, swings wildly, but we're talking about 2.6 percentage points difference. That's a lot. I don't see convergence here, so one of them is going to be way wrong. And if it comes in the middle of that, guess what? They're both way wrong.
Has the U.S. Fed prediction on the economy been accurate over the past, say, 10, 15 years?
The U.S. Fed. The Fed comes out with its own predictions. I don't know what it's predicting here. It has a trend now of long-term growth about I think it's under 2%. So that seems reasonable enough, but historically speaking, Fed forecasts have been wildly wrong, especially the Bernanke Fed. I mean, we all recall him saying he was asked about the housing bubble, and his response was essentially, there is no bubble. In fact, he stated to a reporter who asked him that, he said, well, I disagree with your assumption. You know, and then of course Greenspan talked about a little froth here and there, you know, but no one expected to happen. What did happen, I think we're set up for a similar kind of scenario, not necessarily with housing this time, but the junk bond market has absolutely gone haywire. This gets back to Ford now. We can throw Ford into this mix with its massive amount of long-term debt out there, about ready to be downgraded to junk. So the covenant lights, the ability for corporations to borrow, and they've been borrowing and investing in their own shares, is absolutely crazy. When that corporate bond market bubble breaks, that's when the stock market is going to break. So people talk about the bubble in government bonds. That's not where the bubble is. The bubble is in corporate debt, and it is going to get smashed and take the stock market down with it, in my estimation. The problem, Jim, is timing that. We're all guessing as to when that might happen.
We'll have more with Mike Shedlock right after this.
I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead-zinc-silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineer gold mine in the Atlan District of Northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mike Shedlock. Mish, is money fleeing Italy, and is it connected to the same currency crisis as Turkey's going through?
Slightly different. The crisis in Italy is pretty much about the chance that Italy might leave the Eurozone. What's going on in Turkey is we have a madman running the government, and he's taken over the press. He's jailed all of his political opponents. Turkey, not Italy, borrowed a lot of money in U.S. dollars, and the Turkish lira has plunged. So it's very hard for Turkey to pay back that debt. Inflation is going through the roof. Of course, we have the official inflation rate and the unofficial inflation rate. But, we're talking about 40 to 60% inflation here, in this. And so Turkey has two problems. It borrowed money in U.S. dollars. It's got a madman running, the country. And, eventually, it's going to see a the flight in capital is already happening. But we're also going to see an exodus of human capital also going to happen unfortunately, in South Africa too. So a lot, and in Argentina today, the central bank hiked its interest rate to 60%. Wow. And it's begging the IMF for $50 billion. These emerging market currency crises just keep coming again and again and again. No one seems to learn their lesson. They keep borrowing in U.S. dollars, and when the U.S. dollar strengthens rather than weakens, they have a incredibly hard time of paying it back. That's the bulk of the emerging market crisis. Italy is a little bit different.
Mish, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Pleasure to be on.
My guest has been Mike Mish Shedlock, editor of Mish's Global Economic Trend Analysis on maven.net/MishTalk. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at HowStreet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Questions can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.